Hello, today my group and I will explain a theory from Erikson, which will be the psychosocial stages for personality development. Now, let's move to the next slide. As you all can see from the slide, me, Sherwin, together with Charunisa, Huimin, and Chenru, will be explaining each of the psychosocial stages, and we hope you all can gain more understanding or insight for this particular theory. Let's start with the introduction. Basically, what is psychosocial stages of personality development? Here are some of the brief explanations for this theory. So, this theory was impacted by Sigmund Freud, the psychoanalyst with his most famous theory includes psychoanalysis and defense mechanism that is familiarized by others. It also means that personality is developed in a series of stages, like stage 1, stage 2, and etc. Besides, Erikson theory also describes about the impact of social experience of an individual across the whole lifespan. And lastly, this theory also explains how social interaction and relationships play a role in personality development. Here is an overview of the psychosocial stages, where it consists of 8 stages from infants to maturity. Each stages, Erikson believed that people will experience a conflict that serves a turning point in development. Without further ado, let's begin with the first stage, which will be the stage of trust versus mistrust. And this stage occurs between birth and 1 year of age, where it's the most fundamental stage in life. Thus, an infant usually dependent as they are uncertain about the world in which they live. They look toward their primary caregiver for stability and consistency of care. For instance, like the caregiver gives them food, love, warmth, safety, or nurturing. So the important events here will be feeding and the outcome will be hope. Next, I will show a scenario in order for you to have a better understanding for this stage. Like in the last part of the video, if success in this stage will lead to a virtue of hope by developing a sense of trust, and success means like the care that received from the infants is consistency and predictable. However, failing to acquire the virtue of hope will lead to a development of fear that might carry the basic sense of mistrust, where the infant might be result in anxiety or feeling of mistrust in the world around them. Moreover, let's move to the second stage, which will be the stage of autonomy versus shame. This stage occurs between the age of 18 months to approximately 3 years, where the children at this stage are focused on developing a sense of personal control over physical skill and a sense of independence, making simple decisions about what they prefer. So the important event for this stage will be toilet training, and the outcome is will. Next, there is also a scenario to help you to understand the stage better. As you all can see from the video, success in this stage will lead to a virtue of will, which will increase their independence and become more confident. But on the other hand, if the children are criticized, overly controlled, or not given the opportunity to assert themselves, they begin to feel inadequate in their ability to survive and may then become overly dependent upon others. That's all from me. Now I will pass my time to my next group mate, Chironisa.
In this stage, we have initiative versus skill. This stage occurs in preschooler or in the age of 3 to 5 years old. During this stage, children begin to plan activities, make up games, and initiative. In the next stage, you have initiative versus skill. This stage occurs in preschooler or in the age of 3 to 5 years old. During this stage, children begin to plan activities, make up games, and initiate activities with others. By given this opportunity, children will develop a sense of initiative and feel secure in their ability to lead others and make decisions. Also, during this stage, children will begin to ask many questions as their thirst of knowledge grows. If the parents treat the questions as trivial or embarrassing, then children might lead to feelings of guilt. In consequence, too much guilt can make the child slow to interact with others and may inhibit their creativity. But some guilt is of course necessary, otherwise the child would not know how to exercise self-control. The important event of this stage is to learn some independence, and the outcome is for the child to have purpose. Next is industry versus inferiority. This stage occurs in the age of 6 to 11 years old or middle schooler. In this stage, children begin to learn read and write, learn maths, and do things on their own. Teachers also begin to take an important role in children's life as they teach the child specific skills. Friends will become a major source of their confidence as they now feel the need of approval and begin to develop a sense of pride in their accomplishments. If they are enforced, they'll begin to feel industrious in their ability to achieve goals. And the outcome of this stage is competence.
Next, we have the fifth stage in Erikson's psychosocial stages. Erikson came up with the term identity crisis. Long before he came up with this term, he experienced confusion with his own identity. At this stage, children began to compare themselves to other children. They know consequences that come with good performance and bad performance. Besides, between the age of 12 to 18, adolescents begin to grasp that they will have to perform on a much larger scale that they are used to in school. These expectations influence the teen's overall identity. If everything is cohesive, there are no struggles against society. If there is cohesion, teen will complete the stage with basic virtue of fidelity. Many teens find themselves struggle during this period. This is because parents want them to be one thing, but they want to be another. When this struggle sets in, teen may feel confused or even rebel. Following, the sixth stage will be intimacy and isolation. Loneliness is an epidemic that affects everyone from teenagers to the elderly. Isolation and loneliness can lead to anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues. This stage occurs when once an adolescent has reached adulthood. It can last for around 20 years, which makes it the longest stage. Important events such as formation of serious romantic relationships takes place in this stage. Intimacy doesn't just mean physical intimacy, but also companion, co-parent, roommate, etc. If a person is not able to establish intimate or romantic relationships, likely to become isolated.
The next stage in Erikson's theory of psychosocial development will be generativity versus stagnation. This stage takes place during middle adulthood ages 40 to 65 years old. Psychologically, generativity refers to making your mark on the world through creating or nurturing things that will outlast an individual. During middle age, individuals experience a need to create or nurture things that will outlast them, often having mentees or creating positive changes that will benefit other people. We give back to society through raising our children, being productive at work, and becoming involved in community activities and organizations. Through generativity, we develop a sense of being part of a bigger picture. By failing to find a way to contribute, we become stagnant and feel unproductive. These individuals may feel disconnected or uninvolved with their community and with society as a whole. Ego integrity versus despair is the eighth and final stage of Erikson's stage theory of psychosocial development. This stage begins at approximately age 65 and ends at death. It is during this time that we contemplate our accomplishments and can develop integrity if we see ourselves as leading a successful life. Individuals who reflect on their life and regret not achieving their goals will experience feelings of bitterness and despair. Erikson described ego integrity as the acceptance of one's one and only life cycle as something that had to be, and later as a sense of coherence and wholeness. To simplify it, if a person feels satisfied with how they live their life, they will develop a sense of integrity, and if not, they will feel despair. Thank you for listening, and I hope everyone learned a thing or two about Erikson's stages of psychosocial development.